He is known as Godzilla Jax Dane, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Hello.
Hello, guys. How are you guys today?
Good. How are you, sir?
Doing good.
Doing fantastic. Doing fantastic. Thank you guys for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us, champ.
Hey, no problem.
What was it that made you decide you wanted to be a wrestler?
Oh, man, just like probably most of us that decide to choose the career path of professional wrestling, at some point I would be willing to bet there's a real high percentage that grew up as a wrestling fan. So being a huge fan as a kid, as you get older, you're trying to find your path and figure out what you want to do. And I was just drawn to the sport like everyone else. I went to high school, played basketball, baseball in high school. Then I actually went to college in Tennessee and played basketball for 4 years in college. And once I got out of college, I got a corporate job. Really didn't like just the everyday, mundane corporate life. Still was a huge wrestling fan, and being a college athlete, I felt like I might have an opportunity to have some success with that. So I decided to join a wrestling school up in Kentucky, and just went from there.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. You say corporate job. You mean like selling cars and stuff like that, or?
Well, sort of. Just I was an account executive for a manufacturing company. So corporate America, 9 to 5.
Okay.
The American dream, or at least that's what they tell you it is.
Okay.
You said you trained in Kentucky. Was that at OVW by any chance?
Yes, sir. It sure was. I was trained by Rip Rogers, Dr. Tom Pritchard, Nick Dinsmore, and Rob Conway. Those were the guys that were real instrumental in my training early on.
Oh, okay.
Where did the nickname Godzilla come from?
Oh, man, I was wrestling in Houston one night, and I had been using the moniker for a while, Vanilla Gorilla. And a couple guys were using that, and it just didn't fit. But, hey, that's what the promoters liked, and they were going with it. But I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with a gentleman named Showtime Scott Summers out in Texas. He and I are real good friends. We were sitting backstage, and he said, hey, man, you should try Godzilla. Well, it was right before we were heading overseas for the first trip with New Japan. So we pitched it to them, pitched it to a couple guys. Everybody seemed to really like the idea. So once we got the stamp of approval from overseas, and then a couple of the guys in the locker room really popped for it, it was just a natural fit once it came out of his mouth. So once he tagged me with that and we got it approved, man, we started moving forward with it, and it's turned out to be pretty good for me.
Wow.
Awesome.
Well, since you have that moniker, how big are you? What are your measurements or your?
I'm legitimately about 6'3" and a half, 6'4" in boots, and I weigh, depending on the week, I weigh anywhere from 298 to about 311, just depending on how much I'm eating that week and what I've got going on. So, I'm a legitimate 300-pound guy.
Yeah. Would you like to maybe size up or square off against the Brock Lesnar one day?
Oh, man, I have a ton of respect for Brock. He's probably one of the greatest athletes in the world. Super successful in wrestling, super successful in mixed martial arts, super successful in football, even if you want to throw that out there. Standing toe-to-toe, nose-to-nose with him would be very exciting for me, and I would like to do that someday. But again, he's a world-class athlete, one of the best wrestlers, fighters, athletes in the world, and I'm having an opportunity to do that would be fantastic, yes.
Okay.
What's the largest crowd you have ever wrestled in front of?
Oh, man, some over in Japan, there were regular crowds between 10,000, 12,000. Wrestle Kingdom 8 was pretty big. It was around 40,000. I didn't actually wrestle, but I did perform. I was with Rob Conway ringside when he defended the world title against Satoshi Kojima. So, ringside was myself, Bruce Tharp was there, Harley Race, Tenzon was a part of that as well, and then Kojima and Rob. It was quite an experience, probably upwards of 40,000.
Wow.
With all those fans and everything, how do you feel like when with the TV cameras and all that stuff all around you? Do you get nervous or?
Initially, like everyone in a new position, no matter I guess what job you do in life, as in a new position, you do get a little nervous. But then you realize, man, the rings are 18 feet, the rings are 20 feet. The guys that you're wrestling are the guys that you're wrestling. Obviously, there's different styles of matches depending on where you're at and what you're doing, but the nerves go away pretty quick. You've trained your whole adult life to be a professional wrestler, so it's just like any other job. It's what you do, and you go out and you do your job.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question for NWA World Champion Jax Dane, call in at 773-897-6289 and press 1, and we'll get you on the phone and talk to Jax. Who's the toughest opponent that you have ever wrestled?
Oh man, a couple guys come to mind right off the top of my head. I had a really intense battle with Luke Gallows in San Antonio, and I've wrestled Luke a handful of times over in Japan as well. Man, he's a beast. He's a legitimate 6'8", 290-pound guy. He is, to me, he's one of the very best big wrestlers in the world today. He's big, he's strong, he's solid as they come, man. So, he's very physical, very strong. There's also, I've wrestled Tenzon a handful of times, Taiwan, Tokyo, Osaka, San Antonio. He's a tough opponent. Probably about a month ago, maybe, a little longer than that, a few months back, I'd say, I wrestled Raymond Rowe. He's one half of War Machine, and he's also my best friend.
From Ring of Honor.
He's a monster. Yeah, man, and he's a monster, man. Ray Rowe's one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. He's waiting for a breakout time, and when the world really gets to lay their eyes on him, he's going to be a huge star. He's hard-hitting. He's 6'2", he's 265 pounds. He's the real deal. And then, obviously, the guy that I traveled the world with, I wrestled right before I tore my tricep. I wrestled Rob Conway in Knoxville, or in Kingsport for Smoky Mountain. That was a pretty tough battle. And then you obviously can't forget about Tim Storm either. He's the current North American champion for the NWA, and man, he's a big, strong monster as well. So I mean, there's a handful of heavyweights out there that are big and strong and athletic and mean, and I've had my hands on a couple of them.
Okay, now I have three other names I want to bring up to you if you've ever wrestled them, because I'm not aware if you have or not. Have you ever wrestled Moose, Samoa Joe, or AJ Styles?
I have wrestled AJ. I wrestled AJ Nagoya, maybe. I'm not sure the town in Japan, but I did wrestle AJ in a tag match, and that was quite exciting. Man, what a professional wrestler AJ Styles is. Former NWA World Champion, former TNA World Champion. In New Japan Pro Wrestling, superstar and former champion. He's amazing. So, that was quite an experience. I haven't wrestled Moose. I'm scheduled to wrestle Moose October 17th in San Antonio, Texas, for NWA Branded Outlaw Wrestling. And honestly, I got a lot of respect for Moose, man. He's a big, strong athlete. He does some really good things at Ring of Honor, and I'm really looking forward to that one. And then I've never wrestled Samoa Joe. I've actually never even met Samoa Joe. But man, what a amazing professional wrestler he is as well.
Okay.
I'm a referee for NWA Atlanta, one of the affiliates, and we were kind of wondering if you were going to make it down to our area of town.
Well, I sure hope so. hopefully in the very near future, I can get some things worked out with those guys. I grew up right outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee, so coming to Atlanta is almost like coming home for me. Living out in Austin, Texas now, that if I get opportunities to come back east, especially Kingsport, Atlanta, Nashville, Cookeville, Chattanooga, that area, man, that's, friends and family are able to make that trip to see me wrestle. So hopefully I can get things lined up. There's some real good wrestlers at NWA Atlanta too. Tyson Dean, Andy Anderson, those guys are first class guys and great wrestlers as well.
Okay, good.
Okay. What is your secret for staying in the best possible shape for your matches?
You can't miss working out. The cardio, the lifting weights, that prepares you every day to go out and do your job when it's time for you to go out and do your job. I try my very best to not miss workouts. I try to train between 4 and 6 days a week, depending on how I feel, and then wrestle on top of that. I eat fairly healthy. I'm not one of these crazy bodybuilding guys that you see. I don't quite have that discipline, but I do try to eat healthy, mostly chicken, fish, beef. Try to limit carbs. I'm not fanatical about the diet, but I do try to make sure I get plenty of protein and eat fairly healthy. But just make sure you get lots of rest, drink lots of water. Take care of your body, because your body is what you sell every day. So, I just pay attention to training and make sure that I take care of myself.
Well, what are your thoughts on speaking of taking care of yourself? What are your thoughts on DDP yoga?
Oh man, I have personally never used DDP yoga, and I've played around with yoga here and there. It's very challenging. But when you see anything exercise-wise, to me, is results-driven. If it produces results, it means it's working. And if you look at the success that DDP has had, and I know he's partnered some with one of my close friends up in Knoxville at Next Level Training, Devin Driscoll. He's a big proponent of the DDP yoga. Obviously, you see the stories about Scott Hall, and you see the stories about Jake the Snake. So you know that it's got to be very, very functional and successful on some level for all of these people to be having the results and the success that they're having. So, even though I personally have never done it, I from looking at the results, man, it's got to work. It's got to be amazing. It has to be what it's advertised to be. So I would, if you're going to do yoga and you're going to be active, I would have no problem saying I think that would be a successful route to go.
Yeah, I believe so too, because I don't know the guy's name, but I know you've seen the video though. There was this one guy that he weighed a lot, and he couldn't, doctors told him he'd never walk in without the crutches and stuff. Then he started doing the DDP yoga. He lost tons of weight, and now he's in better shape than ever, running and everything.
Well, absolutely, and what you see happen with success stories like that is you see people that are overweight or they've had an injury, and a lot of that stuff drives bad nutrition habits as well, because everybody gets to a point to where it's almost like they throw in a towel. Well, once you start making progress, no matter what fitness exercise program you're using, and you start seeing a little bit results, then it starts getting a little bit easier to get up and go to the gym or do the yoga. Then it gets a little bit easier to eat a little healthier because, man, I'm seeing some results. So it's really great when you hear stories like that, when you hear people that have either struggled with injuries or obesity or what have you. Once they get the ball rolling and it gets started and they start seeing some progress and some success, man, it's amazing to see how their life transforms mentally, physically, everything. So that's a great story.
Yeah.
I know recently, I think it was you tore your bicep, was it?
Tricep.
Tricep. How is it for you, trying to come back from an injury like that?
Well, I mean, it very humbling, to be quite honest. I was wrestling Ricky Starks in NWA Wrestling Revolution, and I tweaked my tricep pretty bad. But I didn't realize I had torn it. I thought I had just had an elbow injury because it was down more around the elbow. Well, I went on out to Vegas to wrestle Tim Storm out at Cauliflower Alley to unify the national and the North American title. And about 2 minutes into the match, I'm sure if you see that film online, I hit Tim with a clothesline with my right arm, and my left tricep came loose. Yeah, so you can imagine. I mean, it was pretty intense pain-wise as well. But like most professionals try to do anytime there's an injury, we went ahead and finished. And then very short after that, I had the Smoky Mountain Cup. So I wanted to go ahead and compete in the Smoky Mountain Cup. And after the Smoky Mountain Cup, I went ahead and went to the doctor because I thought it may be pretty bad. I was actually shrugging in the gym, and my workout partner took a picture from me from behind. And I didn't know how injured I was. When he took that picture and I looked at it, my elbow looked almost deformed. So I was visiting my father in Tennessee. I showed him the picture, and he was like, "Man, you got to go to the doctor." So that next morning, I made an appointment. Was fortunate to get into Center of Sports Medicine out in Cleveland, Tennessee, and Dr. Stone. He saw me that day, and it was pretty funny. He saw me on a Wednesday. He sent me for an MRI on Wednesday night, and he was able to perform the surgery that Friday morning, 6 a.m. So, from when I went to the doctor until I had it repaired was about a 48-hour turnaround time. So, real lucky on that point that he was able to get me in that quick and do the surgery and repair me. And then the road back has been full of trials and tribulations, man. I knew I had the opportunity to wrestle Tenzan coming up for the world title, so that was my goal date. August 29th was to be back healthy for that. I felt really good that day. Obviously I had some success in the ring. The doctors told me that I probably wouldn't be able to wrestle till November, December, maybe January. But I just had some intense rehab and worked really hard and was able to get back by August 29th. Pretty quick turnaround time for a tricep tear. But I'm feeling pretty good, and I think we're going to be okay.
Good.
Wow.
How is your relationship with NWA President Bruce Tharpe?
It is what it is. He's my boss. He's working really, really hard for the NWA, obviously the NWA Classics, the NWA New Japan Pro Wrestling relationship is that's something that he works real hard at. He's working real hard at trying to coordinate some really good promotions with the NWA. So, I got a lot of respect for how hard he works. He's a great father. He's got 2 kids, single dad. He's a great father. He's an attorney, obviously, in South Texas. So there's some things that I really respect about Bruce. We've obviously not always seen eye to eye in the ring, but now I'm his champion, and he's very supportive of me, and we're moving forward.
Okay, great.
I wanted to ask you about a former NWA, an NWA legend who I've not seen on the mainstream in a long time. Do you know whatever happened to White Lightning Tim Horner?
Oh man, no, I sure don't. I absolutely do. But it's funny when you say that. When I was a kid, man, I was a big fan of White Lightning Tim Horner. But
out of the Tennessee area, if I remember
absolutely.
correctly.
But since you bring that name up, no, I have no idea, man.
Okay. I have a little bit of a name game I'm going to do. I'm going to name 5 different names, and I'm going to have you to give me your thoughts on them. The first name is Hiroshi Tanahashi.
The very best professional wrestler in the world today.
Okay. The second name is Jay Lethal.
Amazing talent. Finding some major success, doing great with what he's being asked to do. And although I don't know Jay personally, I hear he's a fantastic person.
Okay. The third name is Jushin Thunder Liger.
Legend.
Okay.
Legend. Absolute legend. I mean, how else would you describe Liger?
It's true. the fourth name is Carl Anderson.
Oh man, that one's fun for me because Carl is I'm probably one of the biggest fans of Carl Anderson in the world. I love the way he wrestles. I love his promos. I love his approach. I love what he's done in Japan. Obviously, he's got huge success over there. He was really successful with the NWA prior to going to New Japan. Just fantastic. One of the very best professional wrestlers in the world that hasn't had mainstream coverage here in the United States.
Okay, and the last name is Sting.
Icon. I mean, that's NWA, WCW, WWE. I mean, he's done it all. And happy to see him continue his legacy and accomplish what he's been able to accomplish late in his career as well.
Okay.
I have a bit of a question. It's there's been a kind of a rash of fans jumping into the rings lately. What is your opinion on that?
We're professionals. Fans aren't trained to be professionals. There's opportunity for someone to get injured very bad if that continues to happen. I hope it doesn't continue to happen. I hope there's some change in behavior. You got to respect the guys in the ring, man. It's hard enough to wrestle and not get injured when it happens. In regular everyday competition, and then you put extra people in the ring or people coming in from behind or what have you. It's a dangerous situation. Fans don't belong in the ring. Wrestlers don't belong in the in the stands. We've got to be able to separate the two. In hopes most companies have good barricade systems and good security systems, and that we can minimize that because climbing in the ring with professional wrestlers in most cases are professional athletes, and that's never going to end well. Either somebody's going to get hurt or you're going to end up in jail, or there's just nothing good can come from it, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay.
What are your thoughts on the contracts of today's wrestling versus back in the 90s? What I mean by that is you have different guys from Ring of Honor showing up on WWE, and then they're showing up in Japan, and they're showing up in NXT, and then all over the place. So, what are your thoughts on the structure of the contracts?
I'm not real familiar with how contracts used to be structured, or even how contracts outside of what I do are structured today. I feel real fortunate to be able to wrestle for the NWA and to be able to go to New Japan at times and wrestle over there, and then wrestle for other independent promotions. I think if you're a professional and you handle yourself as a professional, cross-pollination is a pretty good thing. Depending on what you're doing and who you're working with, you just have to be able to. You just have to be respectful to what you're being asked to do.
Okay.
Do you personally have a favorite NWA champion of the past?
Well, my favorite wrestler was an NWA champion. I'm pretty sure he wasn't ever the world champion, but man, he was a great champion in the NWA. Is Nikita Koloff. He's been my favorite wrestler since I was a child. Even when he was a good guy, when he was a bad guy, it didn't matter. I just loved the way he looked. I loved his approach. I loved his promos. I loved everything about it. And I was a huge fan of his growing up. And then, obviously, in my opinion, Ric Flair is one of the greatest world champions of all time, if not the greatest world champion ever. And he is synonymous with the NWA. So, but the NWA's had a lot of good champions, man. From the older period and even the modern day. Adam Pearce is a great champion. The guys from Japan, Kojima and Tenzin, have been great champions. Rob Conway is a great champion. AJ Styles was a champion. Christian Cage was a champion. There's just a lot of great champions in the NWA. So to pick one would be tough. Some of them I see as colleagues, and some of them are people that I looked up to growing up. So it's just, for me, there's a handful of greats, and but Nikita Koloff's my favorite wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
It's funny.
We've talked to him a few times on the Wrestling Lounge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we had him a while back
never had a conversation
as a
with
guest.
him. I've never actually met him or had a conversation with him, but
he's a great guy.
Fan, as a kid growing up, he was my favorite to watch.
Okay.
Well, do you have anything you'd like to promote coming up, Jax?
Oh, sure. We got a handful of events coming up. October 10th, I wrestle Shane Taylor out of Cleveland, Ohio, at NWA Branded Outlaw in Austin. 10/17, I wrestle Moose in San Antonio, Texas for NWA Branded Outlaw and back-to-back events there. This October 3rd in Kingsport, I'm wrestling sort of an up-and-coming kid that won a Battle Royal to have an opportunity at the world title. His name is Travis Lee. He's about 6'8", 400 pounds. He's a monster, man. He's a big, scary guy. So I've got that coming up. I'm wrestling Mike Fox for the world title at NWA Texoma up in Sherman. So, yeah, there's a handful of things I've got going on. I try to do a real good job on social media. My Facebook page is at the Jax Dane. I'm keeping guys up to date there. And then Twitter, obviously, is at the Jax Dane as well. So, I got some stuff coming up and some big news towards the end of the year that I can't really reveal just yet, but pretty excited about it, actually. Should be a huge event and a huge match. So, hopefully we get to pin that down and make you guys aware of it pretty soon.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you so much for being on the show today, Jax, and we hope you'll come back again in the future.
Absolutely. I would love to. Thank you guys for treating me like $1 million, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Take care.
And, take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.